Welcome to the Regina Queen Show. We hope you all are having a beautiful day. Life is good. Life is what we make of it. I have here with me today Chrishanda Kimbrough. Chrishanda Kimbrough is here to share her story, to be an inspiration to parents who are giving up hope after facing challenges against trauma, after encountering trauma in their lives. And she would love to encourage you all not to give up hope. Sharing her story, her intentions are to give everybody the inspiration to know that there is life after the pain and to know that injustice is not the best justice. And we hope you all get this message and hey, take heed to what she has to say to you all tonight. Yes, thank you so much, Chrishanda, for being here with me on the Regina Queen Show. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for having me.
You're welcome. I really do appreciate and admire your strength.
Thank you.
Yes. And as we have spoken, in the past, you said, hey, I want to come share my story. If it can help save a life, I would love to share my story.
Yes.
Yes. And so I really do appreciate that. And I'm sure your message and your story will save a life. And that is your intentions.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Hope is to save a life, to give some encouragements. Um, as a mother, or a parental figure, older sibling, whatever, we go through things and it's not talked about that often. A lot of things are done in the streets, and people don't understand the effect and the bearings that it has on the parents and the long-term effects, not just for the person, but for the parents, for the siblings as well. And sometimes we feel like we're the only ones. Sometimes we feel guilty for the survivors, when you meet a person and their child didn't make it. But regardless if your child made it or not, we're a community, right? We're all here for each other, a community of women, a community of parents, Um, and it's just important for us to know that we can and will get through the situation together. It's not an easy battle, but we can do it
Together. Yes.
together.
Yes. Thank you for that. That was a powerful message.
Thank you.
And I'm sure, that will encourage, mothers, who have, fathers too, as well, who has encountered, tragedies and, lost their children to violence and by the grace of God, some of parents have, encountered gun violence and domestic violence and, was able to come out alive. And Prashanda, you are one of the parents who had encountered violence of your son, and by the grace of God, he made it through. And
Yes.
so that is such a blessing. That is really a blessing, and it's given you and your son a second chance in life. And I'm sure most parents of violence would really love to be favored by God to have that. As
Yes.
myself, I lost my son to gun violence. I wish I, was able to be there to save his life.
Hmm.
And I see some parents who, their children had encountered, gun violence and they lost. I mean, they made it through.
Hmm.
And I wish, I was that parent. That my
Yeah.
son's been
Yeah.
shot, but he's alive. He's still alive. He survived. But at the end of the day, I thank the Most High for giving me the strength to be here to speak to moms and, gain strength from a mom like you and the empowerment,
Hmm.
you getting ready to give us today.
Yes.
So I admire that. God bless you. And
God bless you as well.
thank you. So, Krishanda, can you share your story of what happened, with your son to inspire moms and the challenges that you faced after your son encountered violence.
Yeah. So, in our particular situation, 3 years in a row, there was violence. Starting at the age of 16. So at 16, my son was stabbed 5 times and left for dead. Um, we try to teach our children. I remember being taught, I hear it plenty, you don't have any friends. Your siblings is your friend, or your mom is your friend, your dad is your friend. And I remember being a teenager, like, whatever. You want me to be bored, you want me to have no life. But as a parent, I truly learned and understand that that is actually true, because my son, when he got stabbed 5 times, was with two of his friends. One friend left both of them. He left them. The other friend, him and my son, was running away together. However, they both ran to safety, which was my house, my son's house, and didn't say anything while my son was literally fighting for his life. Um, so at that point, my son learned that you can't trust anyone. It doesn't matter how much you guys get into, or how tough people say that they are. It's pretty much a dog eat dog world out here. It's every man for himself. My baby had to learn that the hard way at 16 years old. Um, Luckily, he survived. I try to be a positive person no matter what, and I can be pretty negative at times, but I try to be as positive as possible, especially when in my conscious mind. So I have to thank God that maybe things happened the way that they did. I can't question God. I can't change how things happen. What I do know is that my son wasn't the person they was after. He was the person that they got. My son is a heavy set boy, and his weight is what saved his life. So I thank God that my son had to be the one of the three to have encountered, that tragic situation. And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
choose my words a little wisely.
it's okay.
Um,
It's okay. Let it out.
but
That's what the Regina Queen show is for. Let it out.
yeah,
Let it out.
and so if one of the other two boys had got stabbed, they would have died. These are words from the doctor, words from the police at the hospital. My son Wade saved his life. So I choose to take the silver lining out the situation. I choose to take the positive, because God works in mysterious ways. And my son is the one who essentially saved all three of their lives by him being the one that got caught. It was 8 guys, bigger than my child. My child at that time probably was about 320 and about 6 feet, maybe 6'1". And the guys were all bigger than him. It was 8 of them. Um, a month later, my son, one of the wounds ended up getting infected. He was hospitalized for about a week. They had to reopen the wound. He had a machine. 6 months after that, my son was shot. It was on the news in Kern County. The house was shot up, I believe it was 37 times. Now, my son got shot only once in that situation, but in the back of the leg, because the legs were all stabbed up already. He has, what they tell me, a rifle. He has a rifle bullet in his leg. That was at 17 years old.
But,
A year later.
Chrishanda, all of this happened in Kern County,
Yes, those happened in Kern County, in Bakersfield specifically. Yes,
Bakersfield. Yeah.
yes,
And violence is rapid there in Bakersfield.
yes. So a year later, he went to LA.
Mhm.
He was at the park. They told me maybe 5 minutes. He was walking back to the car. At this time, I'm now a nursing student. Um, and I get a phone call. So I'm like 2 hours away. And my son had left from my car that morning that my son was shot in the back. And that probably was more traumatic for me than anything else. When my son was stabbed, I seen him sitting there. I thought he was dead. I can never get rid of that. I was very traumatized from that situation, especially just waking up in the middle of the night, sleeping with knives, just any noise. It was very hard. My children seen him at that time, but when he got shot, I was 2 hours away. He's now 18 at this point, and they would not tell me anything. I didn't know if my son was dead or alive at that point. And I couldn't drive. He left me his car. So I had to get a ride 2 hours. And this woman drove speed limit. That made it more agonizing for me because I need you to do 100 to get to my son. I
Yeah,
need to know
I
what's
can
going on.
imagine
But
that
he's
phone call.
18. Yeah,
That
they
phone
wouldn't tell
call.
me anything. My son, I believe, uh, saved himself from being paralyzed because when he got shot in the back, they shot my son in the spine, and the bullet is lodged there right now today. Um, his legs, he said, went up and they got stiff, and he couldn't feel his feet. And he thought, but I was told that it was him. He willed himself to break them apart and push them down. He said he couldn't feel the feeling in his legs and his feet. Once he broke them apart and pushed them down, he willed himself to do it. He was able to have feeling again. I couldn't stay at the hospital with my son this time. He's an adult now, so I had visiting hours. I felt so far behind in school. My teacher told me to drop out, the dean told me to drop out, and my counselor told me to drop out. It doesn't matter what we go through. Some things are just very important in life, and if you can keep pushing through, then you do it. Because going to school was for my kids.
Mhm.
It's a career for me, but
Yeah,
I don't care. My son is going to be 18, 25, 30. I'm almost 40 now. I still call my mama, Mom, I need some help. Daddy, I need some help because I'm a single mother of three. So
yeah,
for me, my future, that's my children's future. Life isn't about me once I have them at 18 years old.
true.
So um, I refuse to give up. I stayed with my son. I failed the final. But I don't feel so bad about failing the final when I went back to school because I had a score that was a little better than some people that was there that whole module that I missed. But I stayed in Los Angeles with my son. I stayed by his side as best I could. And he kept telling me, Mama, go to school. No, nothing is more important than me being right here by your side as much as I could be. I was staying 15 minutes away from him. Um, I slept by a gun every night. I wanted to go hunt the people down. But I speak about change in our communities.
That's
And
Chrishanda, that's what I wanted to ask you.
mhm,
After your son survived um, this tragedy, well, the moment that you had got the phone call and he went, they took him, to the hospital. Then you get a phone call,
mhm,
hey, such and such is going on with your son. He's been hurt, and then you get there to the hospital. You go in the room, you see your son laying there. What was going through your mind? Were you thinking of injustice, or were you thinking like, um, you know, because as parents, we would put everything, we'll lay down our life for our children. You know,
I
what was
just
going through your mind, and how did you because you're here right now to share your
yeah,
story. So
yes.
so how did you react, after him
Um,
hurt like that? Just to give us mothers,
yeah.
some thought of injustice. Is it fair? Is it not fair?
Each time it was murder on my mind. Not only was it murder on my mind, it was like, Lord, you can't take my baby from me. This is my oldest child, my firstborn. This is the one that I've prepped since he was about 7 or 8. If anything ever happened to me, you can take care of your siblings. I raised my son to be a husband. Um, I taught him how to cook, how to clean, how to do everything. He was the one that if anything ever happened to me, because I have heart problems, that wherever you end up with, my mom, the system, anywhere you end up at, you are the one that is going to know that you guys are not taken care of properly, or you are. Maybe you need to pick up the slack for your siblings. Like, that's my right hand man. Um, so it was, Lord, you cannot take my baby. I'm not closer to him than the other children or love. Well, I'm a little closer to him because he's a little older, but I'm not. I don't have a favorite. That's my favorite oldest son. I have my favorite daughter, my favorite youngest son. Like, they all have a favorite title, but You cannot take my baby. And you have to understand that this is 3 years in a row. 16, 17, 18. I'm getting these phone calls. My immediate reaction is prayer.
Mm,
I go right into prayer. After that is somebody has to die.
mm,
But I try to be logical when I can. Um, and I'm a diehard Jesus freak. I teach my children that an avenging you is not always going to be the street way, because there's no true justice if I go hunt down the people that's harming you and now I end up dead. Now I end up in jail. Now you have no mother. Now I left you. Okay, give me 1 second, baby. Okay. Now I've left you here. Sorry, y'all. This is my nephew.
it's okay. It's okay.
Now I've left you with no mother.
That's what
Where's
we have here. We have parents on my show.
yeah. Now
All
I
of
left you
us.
right. Now I left you with the injustice of not having a mother. It's my job to teach you to be better than me, better than anyone that is in our communities. Like, that's how we do our part, is to teach our children to be better. Now, do they always listen to us? No. However, I know that I did the right thing. So
Yes.
we have this conversation, and he knows that um, I want to go kill, but I cannot, because I have to make sure I'm here for you. When I slept next to that gun every night, like, okay, when my other kids go to sleep, I'm going hunting. I could hear my son's words this last time when they did not let me in the back with him. And I was causing a commotion. I'm frantic. It took me 2 hours to get here. Tell me something about my son. He heard the nurse and security talking. And he told me that, he said, I hope they let my mama back here. That is what kept me sane
Mm.
throughout that part. That was, you can't
Wow.
go kill. You cannot go be what you
Whoa.
preach against, because your child needs you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Revenge, the Lord said, vengeance is mine. And I feel like I deserve this. This is the third time. Like, they're not going to keep doing this to me, to my son, to my family. However, he needed his mother and he wanted his mother. So every night I just looked at the gun and said, okay, no, don't go hunt. God will hunt. God will do. You have to be there for your child. And that was the most important thing to me, was to give my son proper justice, and me not risk my life, me not risk my freedom, risk him losing me. Someone else told me, because I was crying, I was like, I don't care. And they said, well, if you go and try to find who did this and kill someone to avenge your son and you end up dead, what if your son can't take it and now he commits suicide?
Mm.
Wow. So
That's deep. That is
I
deep.
had, yes, I
That's
had to
deep.
think about it, make sure that my son' mental health, his emotional health is there. And I had to make sure that I'm also present enough for his physical health, because we still didn't know if he was going to be paralyzed or not at this point. My son had to learn to walk all over again. My baby was 18 years old walking with a walker.
Mm.
He's 18 years old and he's fallen and he can't do for himself anymore. After the previous 2 years of things happening to him, but God don't make mistakes.
Is
Sometimes we need to be humbled.
right. Chrishanda, is he still in the walker as we speak today?
No, that boy, oh Lord, he's so headstrong. He took himself off early.
Whoa.
He took himself off early. He actually didn't do no physical therapy. I couldn't get him to go to doctor's appointments.
Yeah, he's a
He
soldier.
stresses me out.
You know he's a soldier, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, but he cannot stand up too long.
Mm.
He can stand up longer now. He can lift his leg now. He could. He's figured out how to kind of walk up the stairs now, without having to stop every step or getting ready to fall. So he's been preparing himself and teaching himself, and that has been more agonizing for me, because I'm like, dude, you need to go to the doctor. You need to make sure there's no blood clots, there's no this, there's no that. I am severely traumatized behind what happened with my son. I made him call mental health and get a therapist. They said he has PTSD. One of his songs, he says something about him having PTSD, but then he tells me, Mom, I don't have PTSD. You said it in your song. Yes, you do. But I told my son in the hospital, put it in your music.
Yeah.
Put it in your music. So that has been healing for him.
That,
But
you know what? That's really good. That's really good
yeah.
because most rappers they put their life stories in their music, and it helps. It helps. At the same time, whenever
Mhm.
whoever is going through, encounter tragedies and stuff, they help. It helps them heal. So
Yes.
yeah, like my
All
show
while
that I do here now, that helps me
mhm,
heal. It helps
exactly.
me heal after losing my children. And this is my space of peace,
Hmm.
and healing. When I'm here, like right now, it's very therapeutic for
Yeah.
me. It's very therapeutic for me, and hearing your
Yes.
story, and a lot of things that you are saying resonate,
Hmm.
with things we have spoke about before.
Yeah. Um, all while going through all of this, my son never allowed me to give up in school, but he watched me with my own determination not give up in school. So, like I said, when he got shot this last time, I was a nursing student and I fell behind to where everybody told me to drop out. And don't get me wrong, nursing school is hard on its own.
Mhm. Yeah, I
I
can
quit
imagine.
every day, okay? But I
Yeah.
showed up every day.
Yes.
I missed a couple of weeks when my son got shot. It was very hard. And like I said, when I came back to school, everybody was telling me to quit. I told them it's not an option. Now I didn't know how I was going to do it. That was a miracle, some prayers, and a rabbit out of a hat. And my teacher just looked at me and she said, I admire you. And I look at you every day and I just want to know, Chrishanda, what rabbit are you pulling out the hat today? You know, at the time I was married and he was encouraging me to keep going, but um I just knew that quitting wasn't an option for me. No matter what I was going through in life, because going to school was my peace. But I would be worried about my son when I was at school. Anything happened if he collapsed, because he's fallen a few times when I wasn't around, and sometimes he didn't tell me about it, somebody else did. And he was, like I said, really bad at that time. But throughout everything that we went through, and this is why I want to share my story, because I want people to know, don't give up. No matter how hard it gets, keep going, keep pushing. Um, Pray until something happens. Sometimes you don't have the energy. And if you got to go to work or go to class and you just there, and you just, because I was in class sometimes, I was already blind. I couldn't see. I needed glasses. And I just was there. I turned my recorder on for my lectures and I just was there.
Yeah.
I just was there, but I couldn't give up. I had to keep moving. I had to keep going for my son, for all three of my children, and for the husband at the time. I just had to keep going, but more importantly, I had to keep going for myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I got therapy myself as well.
Good.
I got therapy myself. I called mental health. I called before I had my son call.
Which we suggest every parent that encounter violence needs to get therapy. So
Yes, it's very releasing. I still I just talked to this lady the other day and we ended up FaceTiming and I'm just crying about everything. And at first I was kind of hard, didn't really want to let her in, where I see her going like this, trying not to cry. But I fall into bad depressions. And
yeah.
after the therapy session, after that release, it's a breath of fresh air. It's my recharge. I can go because things didn't stop happening after my son got shot. This year he found my little brother dead. So it's everything is on top. I'm not getting a break. I'm not successful already. Um, I lost my marriage. I just lost everything. But it was important to me to share my story right now while I'm going through,
Mhm.
because I'm growing through.
Yes.
I don't, there's someone that's getting something from this conversation right now that needs it right now. So if I say, no, I'm gonna wait till I'm done with therapy, I've released, and say, hey, yeah, you could do it. No, I don't want to tell you I was there. I want to tell you, like, you right there, I'm right there with you.
Right.
See my name, hit my Facebook up, inbox me. I'm gonna be
Right.
right here with you. We're gonna cry together, we're gonna figure it out together, but we can get through. Don't just, you gotta learn not to just go through, but learn to grow through,
Go
because
through.
everything is helping us level up. And that's what I'm here for. And this is why I'm sharing, it's my son's story to tell, but it's mine too, because it affects me. And it's affected me in some major ways to where I've lost myself. And I'm just now finding myself again.
Yes. So, Krishanda, even though, like I said in the beginning,
Hmm.
um, some parents wish that they were the ones who their son had came out
Hmm.
of the trauma alive. So, what I would like to ask you, what do you feel? How do you feel when seeing parents of gun violence and they lost their children to gun violence and their kids, of them losing their children to gun violence? How do you feel? You know,
Sometimes I feel remorse. I feel bad. My son made it through 3 times, 3 years in a row. And it's like your child had that one shot and didn't. So it makes me feel bad at times, but it makes me feel like you can get through, you can go through, because I don't have that experience. I don't know how you guys feel. I know for a second I've seen my son and thought he was dead, and had that feeling, but within a second later, that was released. I still hold on to the sight of my son thinking that he was. Um, so I can only attempt to imagine how you feel, and that makes me sometimes feel like I'm a terrible human being, because God gave my son chance after chance after chance. But I believe God doesn't make mistakes, and we all have our time. And I know it's a cliche and people hate to hear it. Um, However, I haven't even come close to what my son has endured. That I'm not better than anyone because my child survived. Because, as I stated, it took my son 3 times to humble himself, 3 years in a row. You know, um, I just feel like stay strong. Like you have your show. We have to learn positive coping mechanisms
hmm
to get through. And it's sad when a survivor comes across a person who child isn't a survivor, but that don't mean that one is better than the other, one is worse than the other. It doesn't mean that we can't encourage each other, because there's people who lost their child that at times are going to have to give me encouragements. Like, we're
hmm
all in this together. And
Yeah.
I feel like as long as we remain a tight knit community, whether our children survive or not, or our spouses or parents or whomever it may be, as long as we have each other, we all can get through this together, because it's all violence, it's all senseless, and
Yes.
we all are traumatized in one form or another behind what it is that we go through. So whether your child survived or not, or whomever your loved one is, I encourage you to continue to fight through, to go through.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
And does do you feel that after the trauma, do you feel what to you do you feel that you lost during the trauma? You know, like some people say, hey, my son, he's been hurt, he's been shot, but he's still alive. But something we lost something in that.
I'm not at the point of after the trauma yet. I still jump up in the middle of the night, thinking people are watching the house. I still hear a noise and think someone is after my son. Um, I still have visions of when he got stabbed and I saw him there. It's still the phone calls. I'm not there yet. I'm very overprotective. He keeps telling me, "Mom, I'm grown." There was one day, my brother that just recently passed called me last year, like, he's not answering his phone. Where is he? It didn't just traumatize me; it traumatized my siblings. My parents, like, we all traumatized. But for me as the mother, I went crazy when my brother is like, I haven't heard from him. My brother was panicking. I tried to remain calm. I sat for hours in a parking lot, and I was an hour and a half away from Bakersfield at that time in Lancaster. And I sat crying, calling anyone I could, like, where could he be? And then he called and was like, Mom, I'm sorry, the phone died. I didn't have a charger in my car. And I went ballistic on my baby. And he's like, I'm grown now. I don't care. You're always going to be my baby. I don't care. You've been hurt 3 times back to back to back. I need to know where you are. I have to know where you are. He has an air tag that I give him my car because I can track my car from my phone. Any way to track the track him, his movements. Where are you? There, I'm not after the trauma yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you lose trust with certain people, like just anybody that's trying to help you cope through life and things? Because encountering trauma, it can make you lose trust. It's like you can't trust, and then knowing that our you know our children has been shot, stabbed, by someone that they knew, or of being around friends who left them for dead. It makes you not trust other people, because of the trauma we seen what happened to ours. So,
No, I didn't lose trust because of the environment that I grew up in.
mhm,
I already know you cannot trust when it comes to those kind of things. And I try to instill that in my child. And my child used to walk out this door, Mom, ain't nothing going to happen to me. Mom, ain't nothing going to happen to me. And I said, you're the exact type of person it happens to. And then it happened. And then he did it again. I said, you ain't learned your lesson? So now he says, all right, Mom. He doesn't tell me it can't. He said, I'm not going to say that no more. But I already knew that you cannot trust because of how I was. So I didn't lose trust. I gained more trust in God because I needed God to get me through. I needed God to get my family through. Um, and God showed my son some things. My son went through a bad path before these things started happening to him. My son and I, babe, we were like this. We were going like this. And that was mama's boy. And it slowly brought him back to now we like this. So if I don't call my son at all today, he will call me tomorrow like, yo, lady, I ain't heard from you.
yeah.
Um, so God humbled my baby, and God showed my baby, and it's horrible because it's a very bad life lesson, but he showed my baby until my baby got it. And now is back. Mom, the disrespect, the wildness, that trying to find himself, that's gone. And I think it showed him to trust God more as well. So I gained more trust in essence.
Yes. Thank you for that. That was
Hmm.
that was very powerful. That was very powerful. Speaking about trust, and you
Yeah.
know, yeah, you really embrace a lot of challenges that you had encountered, and the compassion that you have for others. You gave up injustice to be
Hmm.
there with your children,
Yes.
and
Um,
that was very powerful, and a very wise decision as well.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's a very hard decision. Like I said, I slept next to a gun every night. I had a person tell me that this isn't the time to be a mother. This is the time to go get active. And I'm like, no, this is the time to be a mother. But that took a lot of conversations with God. That took a lot of God, like, put that gun back down. I preach to people about changing our communities, how we have to be the change. I don't care where I come from. It's about where I am today and where I'm going. More importantly, where am I going? So I have no choice but to grow up and learn from my life lessons and to teach my children better. And the trust in God and trying to teach my children better is what guide me and what fuels me. Now, if I was right there and you came and shot my baby, yeah, I'm gonna do something. If you come into my home and you try to do something to my babies, I'm gonna do something. But to go hunt for you, that's not the solution. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And he can do it way better than me. He can do it without him going to jail, without him getting hurt. I have to allow him to take the visions that is his. And that's what guides me. It's very hard to be a change in the Black community, in a minority community, period. Um, if we're trying to stop the killing, I cannot add to it.
Mhm.
If we're trying to stop the violence, I cannot add to it.
Mhm.
The person is already gone. There's nothing I can, well, something I can do, but that's injustice. There's nothing I can do when it comes to this change, except for be a strong, powerful queen that
Yeah.
I am striving to be. I'm still struggling. Nothing has gotten easier for me. Like I said before, I wanted to come on here and talk while going through. I don't want nobody to look at me and be like, hey, you already got through. Like I told you, I'm not. It's
Oh,
not after the trauma for me. I'm
it
still
does.
right in the
It,
gutter with the trauma right now.
yes, it doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly.
It could
It's
take
gonna
another
take some
30.
time.
Yeah, it could take another 30 years.
Hmm. It's
You
gonna
know,
take some time.
or it may take never.
And I would encourage someone every step of the way. I'm very proud of myself for going about this the proper way. For the lessons that I'm teaching my children. My son knows that, hey, mama crazy,
Mm.
but mama loves me more than anything.
Yeah.
Mama's going to make sure I have a mama. Mama's going to make sure that I'm right here with her and I don't lose her, because that's not true vengeance for me to go do something and my children lose their mother.
Yes.
So I stay by my son's side and we talk about it. We get through it together. Sometimes it look like I'm more traumatized than he is, but he talks to me, and when I need to talk to him, I do. Which my kids aren't talkers, so they just be like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong. I'm good," and I kind of force them to talk. Like, we're gonna let this out. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get through this together as a family, as a unit, and stay strong. And we're still gonna laugh and smile and go through our struggles, and everything will be okay. Because all we have is our trust in the Lord and our trust in each other.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Thank you for that. And I have, many women here, on my platform who
Hmm.
have encountered gun violence and lost a child to gun violence. And the pain that I see in their face, the pain I hear in their voice,
Hmm.
and still seeking for justice. And I can see the pain, it's just like it's so unbearable, and I could just see the it's pretty much like I can read their minds. Like I just want to go out and just kill the
Yeah.
person that took my child, and because it's very painful, and we do feel that way,
Yeah.
and I had to, embrace my pain as
Hmm.
well, just so I can overcome that feeling,
Yeah.
because vengeance belongs to that big universe. Nothing,
Hmm.
nothing can overpower the Most High. So I gave it to the Most High,
Yeah.
and to be here to encourage other mothers who, going through the same as I am myself, to encourage them and lift them up, keep their spirits lifted, so they won't end up, in jail, or dead somewhere, you know, for the injustice.
Hmm.
So your story here, that you shared with us is so powerful. And I hope the parents here got this message and take heed to what Chrishanda has said today of sharing her story. Injustice is not the way to go. If you are a parent who lost a child, injustice is not the way to go. Be the solution.
Yes.
Be the solution to prevent violence, to prevent the other parents and families from going through what we have been through and what we are going through. And I just really thank you so much for that, Krishanda. You know, after your son has been hurt, wounded several times, multiple times, and you're
Mhm.
still here, strong warrior. You know, your resilience, you know, is just amazing to me.
Thank you.
Yes, and doesn't matter if by him coming out alive, that
Hmm.
is still you still lost something. You still
Yeah, I lost myself.
lost something.
I lost the way I handle things.
Yeah, some people don't understand that. They're like, well, you know, you still lost something.
Yeah, the way I handle things isn't always the best way. I don't think before I act because I still carry that hurt, that pain. I still haven't released it. Like I said, it's there's not at this point after the trauma for me. So I'm still in it. But the only thing I could do is remain as positive as I can when I'm conscious of it. And do everything I can to train myself to be more conscious, to work on self healing,
Mhm.
to trust in, God. And for those who maybe don't believe in God, whatever spiritual being that you believe in, but to put your trust there, to know that there is a higher power and there's a better purpose, no matter how our outcomes come. And I know it may sound like it's easier for me to say that, but it's not easy for me to say it at all. It just isn't, it's not easy for me to not go the route of injustice. Like that's not easy for me at all. Not one, not two, but three different times I had to continue to show the adversary, like, you will not have dominions over me and my children. I'm going to go to God every time. That's not easy for me because I used to be a soldier for him.
Mm. Mhm.
I used to be a soldier for him, and now the most important thing is for me to be a soldier for God and be a soldier for my children. So, um, it's just finding a way. You have the show, and my thing is telling my story and finding positive ways to cope. Whenever I'm conscious enough to find a positive way to cope, it's all an uphill battle. But
Yes,
we just have to persevere and just keep pushing and not give up.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you for that, Krishanda. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that powerful message. And I would like to ask you too, if you if you can give our moms of gun that have encountered gun violence a message. Um, if you can give them a message and you can speak to them, what would you say? What would that message be?
To stay strong. Nothing is your fault because I've had where I've blamed myself. I've blamed others. Others have blamed me. It's not our fault. Um, be the solution. No matter who you are, no matter what your background is, do your best to be the solution to the problem. Um, and find a positive coping mechanism. If you need help, if you need therapy, okay, that's better.
Oh,
So,
okay, that is
okay,
better.
sorry, y'all. I had
It's
to give y'all
better.
some light. If you
Yeah.
need help, if you need therapy, whatever it is that you need for you, for your child, if your child made it through, for
Yeah.
yourself, if your child did or didn't make it through,
You're so
um,
beautiful. Yeah.
do that. Do what you need to do. Don't give up hope. The As a minority, the system isn't for us. So Understand that you may not always get justice. No one has went to jail, and not one three incidents, and they're all separate. What happened to my child? No one. I'm not. I cannot focus crazy. Um, for me personally, my son is here, so I put all my energy into him. For those of you who child isn't here, put your energy into you. I'm not saying give up on try to get justice for the person, because you definitely deserve justice, but please do not drive yourself crazy trying to get justice, because some of us just don't. We just don't.
That's
So just find a
well.
way to cope. Stay strong and fight through it, and just be a part of the solution.
Yes. Thank you. That was very powerful. Well, some of us just don't.
Yeah.
No
Some of
matter
us,
how hard, no matter how hard we try, we just don't.
we just don't. And it's sad. This is how they treat us. This is what it is. Our community have made it to where you bet not tell. You will get ostracized for doing the right thing. And that's just the way things are. It's the way things have been. Some people just don't see anything, just don't know anything. There's a number of different things. And the system is it just wasn't made for us. Um, So fight for your justice, but don't kill yourself, because you have to continue to live. I promised my little brother that I would keep his memory alive, and part of my way of doing it was I can't show it, putting him right here on my arm.
Oh,
And there's no justice that's needed for my brother, because my brother had a seizure and passed away. But I don't cry every time I think about him. I will not let me losing my better half of me when it comes to siblings. I have to smile. I have to laugh. I have to continue to try to find myself again. I have to heal. I cannot focus on the fact that I lost him. And that's one of the hardest things to do, because it kills me. And my son found him.
hmm.
Not even a year after being shot, my son found him. So it's very traumatizing, no matter how we lose a loved one. But
Yes,
and we never understand why we do, but we have to keep living. And I promise my brother, your memory's going to stay strong. And the way for me to keep his memory alive and strong is by me to continue to live. By me getting the way for me to get justice for my son is this right here. This is the start. But the initial start was by me continuing school, by me continuing to live and not let him watch me go crazy, even though internally I'm still dying. We just have to heal, find a way, and there's a way for you.
yes. Wow. You are so amazing, Chrishanda. You are
Thank
so
you.
amazing. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, like you're really amazing. Like, oh, I got tears. Like,
Oh,
mm. You inspire me. You really do. Thank you so much for that powerful, powerful message for us moms of violence, and being here, to uplift us moms.
hmm,
I'm sure that mothers of gun violence will see, our show today and just get this message. And if you are a mom who encountered gun and domestic violence and lost a loved one to violence, we encourage you not to give up hope. Keep striving, keep being resilient. Do not go after, do not embrace injustice. Do not embrace injustice. Be the solution. Be the
be the
solution. Yes. Although,
girl.
yes, although you hurt, you cry, the pain, our children are gone, but we have to focus on what remains. And what remains are people who love us, people
Yeah.
who need us. We still have family, we still have friends. And hurting someone else will hurt our family and friends.
Hmm.
It'll be another tragedy for our family as well. So we must think before we go after the injustice.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, and
Focus.
yes, say it.
Some of us do a lot of positive. You know, like I said, you started your show. There's people who started motivational speaking who's changed laws. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be anything big or drastic. You know, it could be something as small as giving a homeless person $5. That's something that you knew that your loved one do on a regular. You're keeping their works going. You know, um, telling stories about them smiling. Just keep going. Because now you have to. You don't have to, but for me, it's like you have to live for them. You
Yes.
know, bring honor to them and to their name. And the only way you could truly bring honor is to do it positively, to do it correctly, you know, or just continue for you to live and for you to actually heal because they don't want to see us hurt. It's called homegoing. It's called a celebration of life. And that's what we want to do. We want to celebrate their life, keep their memory alive, you know, and even if it's just us thinking about them every day and burst out laughing from a memory. I think about my brother and crazy stuff we used to do to each other and say to each other, even during the arguments. I would kill for an argument right now with my brother, you
Me.
know, but it's now joy now when I think about it. It's not anger anymore. And that's a way of me just living for him and doing him justice and making him proud. So, you know, it applies in every which way. We all have our own little ways, and some of us, our ways are the same. Stay a community and be here for each other, everything will be all right.
Yes. And that's what we need to be. We need to be here for each other to
Yes.
build, better communities,
Yes.
and, just be the voice for our communities and our loved ones. And you already know, your brother would just look at down on you and say, "Hey, sis, straighten up.
Mm,
You got this. You got
yes.
this." Yeah. And I'm sure, my children are, saying the same thing when I'm crying and I'm in pain, hold your head up, you got this. So, what you just said was very powerful as well. And I know a lot of mothers here, it's really painful just seeing them, seeking and crying out for
Mm,
justice. So I will, focus on what remain, and that is my family, friends, and mothers of violence as well, parents of violence. So I'm
yes, because I could
here.
imagine children are very proud of you.
Yes,
You're doing this in their honor. You know, like I said, this is a positive coping mechanism. And while we don't understand the why, you know, he does turn things around for the better. We pray to get out of situations, and sometimes we just need to pray to get through a situation. And sometimes when you pray to get through that situation or pray during that situation, he will bring you out or he will give you the strength to get through because we all have it inside of us.
yes, we do. Whew. Yes, thank you for the encouragement. I really appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, and this was really unexpected. I wasn't expecting this powerful message from you.
Me neither. You see
I
how
really wasn't. I really wasn't. I was like, I'm just thinking, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna ask her some questions and everything. But you know what? It was just, hey, you are a motivational speaker, and
thank you.
yeah, you have really encouraged me and motivated me as well. And I do have people coming on my show. Some of them motivate and encourage me. Some do. And some I just listen, to their stories. But a lot of stories does resonate with
Mhm.
mine, and then it just encourages me.
Yeah.
Like your story resonate with mine in different ways, and some things you said it motivated me, uplifted me, and that is what the Regina Queen Show is for, to empower one another.
Yes.
Even the host is being empowered. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Chrishanda, as we're gonna, get ready to go now, I
Hmm.
appreciate your time, and it was an honor to have you here on the Regina Queen Show, sharing your story to uplift and encourage moms of gun violence, all
Okay.
parents of gun
There we
violence. Yes, all parents of gun violence, and I know your story will help someone, and you continue to be brave, bold, have the courage, and be resilient because you are. And
Thank you. It's an honor
congratulations.
being here. Thank you very much.
Yes, congratulations to your new endeavor. Um,
Thank you.
your school, going to school, taking up what are you taking up again?
Nursing.
Nursing. Yes, and I want you to say what you're taking up, and how long has this been?
I started in June of last year. I'm on a leave of absence right now due to certain things that's going on, but I'm not giving up. I'm
Right.
not. I'm going to continue.
That's right.
I let my baby tragedy make me quit and stop. Nothing else can.
Yes.
Nothing else can.
Thank you. And for all you moms out there, if you're going through trauma, and please don't give up. Don't give up hope. And Chrishanda here is a perfect example of strength. So you are stronger than what you think you are. So do not give up hope. And we'd like to thank you, everyone, for being here with us on the Regina Queen Show as Chrishanda shared her story to encourage you all. And Chrishanda will be back for part two of her story, which I didn't mention. This was part one, but we do have a part two. And part two is going to be uh, super, super healing for
Yes.
women of domestic violence. So please make sure you stick around when we post that flyer up and join in with us and support. Have a beautiful night.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Dr. Shonda. Good night. Love
Thank
you.
you. Love you. Okay, how do I do this?